Hello, everyone. Sorry for the bit of delay there. Normally, I like to get started closer to on the button at 7, but today I had a bit of a hiccup. So, the hiccup is just that I'm having trouble finding the file that I'm looking for. I literally just spent the past 5 minutes doing a search, and while I'm chatting with all of you, I'm going to do a search of my entire directory here. Just a search or app. So hey there, everybody. Yeah, I'm having a pickle of a time finding the Icescar Valley map file. I don't know where it is. The one that's in the file that I found is an old black and white one. So I'm trying desperately to figure out where my map file is, and I haven't found it yet. So that's what I was going to draw here today. Hang out with all of you and do some drawing. But I can't find it. So yeah, I don't know that it's lost. Like I have this, but this is a PNG file, and I'm trying to find the PSD file of that map, and I haven't been able to find it. Like, it is perplexing. I cannot seem to find it. So, don't know what's going on with that. I feel like I drew it in a weird place or saved it somewhere odd. I am really hoping I didn't accidentally lose it. Because if I did, I lost it a long time ago, and there's no way I'm going to recover it. So I'd have to start over, which would suck. But, you know, we'll see how it goes. Hey there, everybody. How you doing? We are here doing the Tuesday night Eventide stream. This is our post-Paizocon stream. Honestly, folks, I don't have an awful lot to cover here this week because, frankly, all of my energy over the past week has been on Paizocon. Getting ready for the games I had to run, getting ready for the seminar that I was a part of, getting ready for AMA, doing a whole bunch of stuff kind of behind the scenes to support my fellow staff. You know, just lots of stuff. Keeping me busy. Yeah, the question in chat, I'm assuming you only have one computer versus desktop, laptop. I do have a couple machines, but there's no way it wouldn't be on this machine because it was drawn on this. So, it's not that. Can I convert the PNG file? Maybe. So if you're curious about the dangers of that, can I use the PNG file? Yes, but the PNG is much lower resolution than the original. Right, the original would have been 300 DPI, you know, for print resolution scale, and the PNG is definitely not. So I would probably use it as a base to kind of redo the thing using some color mapping, but that's about it. I don't know. We might start doing that here shortly. I don't know. We'll find out. So the joys of running your own shop and doing your own thing is that when something goes wrong, you have no one to blame but yourself. I'm generally pretty good about this stuff. I have pretty good file management. Like, I don't lose things. That's why this is so perplexing to me, is because I can't find it. I've been doing some searches and it just has not come up. So I'm currently searching my entire game directory for the word map. It's still chugging. So let's talk a bit about Paizocon. Obviously here I'm not going to talk about any aspect of Paizocon that is Paizo business. Things that were announced at the show are public knowledge. Those I can comment on in as much as they affect Eventide. So let's talk about that. So obviously there was some big news here about changes to some of the aspects of the game, right? You know, we talked about how alignment's going away and how that might affect Eventide. Frankly, not too much. I didn't use alignment for overall that much. Yes, there are 5 deities tied to the alignment, but that doesn't really change anything about them. If the letter designation goes away, I can still have a deity of order and law and structure, and I can still have a deity of personal choice and freedom, and I don't need the alignment codes to make that happen. And there's also a bit of note about the loss of spell schools, that spell schools were by and large going away. Again, doesn't cause me too much trouble. There's not really much in Eventide that is reliant on spell schools at all. So for me, this is mostly nothing for Eventide. And then there's obviously going to be some monsters and some spells and some magic items that go away. I'll deal with those on a case-by-case basis. The loss of a certain sewer-dwelling tentacle monster will suck, but I can replace it with something else. Won't be that hard to do. So there is that. There was also a mention that, Paizo is moving away from using the drow. You'll notice I've never talked about the drow in my setting. And there's a big reason for that. For me, the drow are played out. And that's before you even start considering, frankly, they're kind of racist tropes, and they're just problematic kind of across the board. I like the drow as a villain, as a monster you can, go and kill with impunity. They're bad guys. They get to be bad guys. I get all that. But I don't know. That's a pretty tired trope for me these days. So I don't really bemoan that loss. You'll notice they were never really a part of my plans for Eventide. I've never really talked about them much. But it wasn't really a thing. So those leaving the setting is another one of those things that I just kind of go, not really a thing I have to worry too much about anyway. So, there's a whole bunch of stuff like that, that some of which may have an effect, some of which won't. But, there's a reason why Eventide uses some of the things it does, because it's mine, right? What's a big new monster and monster category in Eventide? Gaunts. Gaunts are a big new monster type, and those I own. I made those up. So I don't really have to worry about it. The rest of the stuff is I can take or leave. What kind of dragon landed on Wolfrin's tower doesn't really matter. It's dead. All that's there are bones. So we don't have to worry about it too much. Sorry, I'm gonna take a peek at how the file search is going. Okay. Let me get this. I've got a lot of files with the word map in them. That's not really a surprise. But I need to look at this based on... Come on. That's what I'm... Details and type. Okay, so I'm just looking for Photoshop files, because that's definitely what it would be. There's no way I did this in... No, it's not done yet. Okay, well, let it keep going. Maybe I should search for the word Icescar, because it definitely would have that in the title. Let me try that again. I'll let it chew on that. So that is the kind of big news from the show. There is obviously the other big piece of news from the show, which is part 1 of Wolfrin's Fate was released to the public on Friday. Friday isn't exactly the best day to release a product, but with it being the start of Paizocon, made sense to me. Ideally, I should have probably dropped it a few days earlier, but I wanted it to be a special thing for Paizocon, and I made some hay out of that. Not a lot. Sales have been okay. I think I'm closing in on 50 copies sold. Outside the ones that went patrons. That's pretty light, right? One of the things I talked about was the economics of, what would it take for, a module like Wolfrin's Fate to break even. Considering the art, considering the editing, considering the my hours, even if I put my hours in at minimum wage, how many copies would I need to sell to break even? And the answer is 611. It's a lot. That's the thing about adventure modules. They're expensive. They're expensive to make, and that is a challenge. And frankly, that's why the Patreon's a part of this. Now, I always considered the adventures just to be a component of a much larger kit, I'm not really that worried about whether or not they earn out, at least here in the short term. Selling, 50 copies in the first week is not, in the first couple days, it's not bad. I'm not upset about it or anything. But it is a reality of this, that you release a thing and you get to the, top of, the drive-through RPG page. As a matter of fact, let me take a peek here right now. If I go to drive-through and I go specifically to Rule System Pathfinder, where am I at? Number 2 in hottest, right? And if you go down to sort by popularity, it's at the top of the list. So that's not bad, right? It's not bad. But when you compare it to all the costs that went into it, all the time that was sunk into it and stuff, it's a pretty challenging thing to do. It's like, oh, best in category, nowhere near that having kind of paid out its cost. Again, this isn't something that bothers me. I'm pretty used to it. And in fact, part of getting all of these out is so that later on when I do a crowdfunding and I unify them into one giant adventure book with a player book and a GM book, all that stuff can come out together as part of maybe a crowdfunding process. That's when all of this comes together, right? That is when all of this kind of snaps into place and is something that really, really kind of works financially. But, that's why when you make games, when you make stuff like this, you have to have a passion for it. Because sometimes success can be fleeting or hard to get your hands on, right? And I've been doing this for a long time, and I've certainly had plenty of successes, right? So, yeah, that's kind of where we're at. Trying to see where we're at on this file search, and why is this taking so long? File. Xing the whole thing. You found no results yet. Okay. Let me just try searching in the products. How about that? That's a much smaller folder. Just search that. Yeah, you got to play the long game, right? And another thing about this industry in particular is you have to be willing to stick to it, right? It's you're not going to necessarily get success on your first thing, and if you do, you struck lightning, right? In reality, you got to kind of work at it. You got to put out regular releases, you got to put out regular content, you got to build up buying patterns, you got to build a customer base. And this isn't really any different than any other business, right? You can't, I'm going to open up a coffee shop, but we're only going to be open once, and if I don't make all my money for the year, I'm going to be upset. No, that's not how it works, right? You have to stick with it. You have to keep doing it. So, that's what we're going to do here. I don't see any reason why I wouldn't. And frankly, the Patreon makes all of this work without me having to risk a bunch of, my personal finances, which are already fragile and delicate living in a very expensive Seattle metro. So, Alara, I thought about looking at recent files. As a matter of fact, I have the recent file tab open. Unfortunately, the recent file tab does not go back far enough for this. It only goes back, like a month. And the last time I opened up this file was several months ago. So, I don't think... Yeah, it only goes back 20. That's as far back as it goes. Well, that seems poor. So it's not going to find it that way, which is yeah, boy, what a pickle. I have other maps and other files I could work on, but that was the one that's really close, and I was just like, oh, I'll work on that, and we'll kind of work to hammer it out, but it just does not seem to exist anywhere. So the thing that's tricky, just to give you some insight into why I'm so perplexed by this, is that in my Eventide folder, I have a maps folder, that is specifically for maps. And in the maps folder, there are 5 Photoshop files. And the rest are all PNGs. Yep, every single one of them. And there's only one that's in Icescar Valley 1, and that one is Icescar Valley tagged, and when I open it, it does not have any of the color layers in it. And the entire drawing is on one layer. And I recall building this in a way where all of my color elements had their own layers. So it was like forest, mountain, towns. That way I would just have more layers. And they're just not in here. There's just nothing in here. And stranger still, the reason why I know this is not where they are is the black and white line file isn't transparent. It is black and white on the bottom, which is very strange. That is not how I would draw it, which tells me this was an artificial thing I created to create a black and white version of the map. But if I use this to create a black and white version of the map, the thing I'm worried about right now, that in my haste, saved over the original. That's what I'm worried about. Because if I did that, then it's gone. Then I have no recourse. Yeah, this is the all-near map. That's not going to be it. In which case, the only thing I then have is the Icescar Valley color tagged map. Which isn't bad, but it's, you know, if I open it up, it's drag it up here. See what I'm looking at. If I am truly screwed, let's see how screwed I am. What's the canvas size? Okay, 8 by 5 by 5.5. Okay, it's big. 5.5. It is 300 DPI. Huh. So, that's interesting. The PNG is of a high enough resolution, but it's flattened, which isn't great. Being flattened means that I can't do a lot to it. I'd have to re-separate the layer, which is almost impossible. I guess I could do a channel pick. I'm not going to make you watch this. This is terrible. If I have to do this, this is serious surgery. I just can't. I can't find it anywhere. And like, I've got a whole bunch of other file locations in here, and maybe it just got dragged to a different place, but I'm really not seeing it. Like, I'm looking in my, like, art promo thing to be like, oh, maybe I put it in there because I was doing, like, promos, video stuff, but I'm not seeing it anywhere. Yeah, this is all my video creation stuff. Map time-lapse, but that's mapping Wormbone. That's not it. Tonight's stream is watch Jason be frustrated. It's a lot of fun. Definitely not there. Logo files. Templates. No reason for it to be in the player archive. Nope. GM archive. Nope. Is it in the art section? No, this is all the art I've ordered and paid for. So it's not in there either. Huh. One last place I'm kind of poking around at, which is my Dropbox backup. Maybe I'll get lucky. There. Here's my maps folder here. I can't. That's not it. Can I get lucky? Nope, this is the exact same file. I'm not sure it means that I saved over it by accident, but it's starting to feel like that may have happened. Either that or the file is in a location that is just not one that I would look at, right? Which doesn't make a lot of sense. Suppose I should... So many files on my desktop. Let me look at my file. Details, type. I not have a single. Oh, yeah, of course I have. Acrobat. Yeah, I have one Photoshop. That's not it. Yep. No. Well, let's take a look here. This is what I got. Let me go ahead and bring you over here. So this. I'm really confused by today's technological woes. Not what I want. There we go. Okay. So let me go ahead and bring this down so that I'm visible. Come on. Okay. So this is the file that I have. This is all that I can find. So if I wanted to try and start separating this out, I could conceivably do it a handful of ways. I can go into channels. Alright, so let me change it to CMYK. Okay, good. That didn't change the color appearance. At least not in a way that my eyes could tell. And then I'm going to go and select black. And do a grab of it. Come back to the full illustration. And I should be able to do... Oh, don't worry. I'll change the file name. I actually have this file backed up in like 12 places, so it's fine. So I have this. If I go image, copy, image, and then we'll go ahead and put a new layer in here. Oh, it grabbed everything else. Weird. How bizarre. I inverted some. Let's see here. Okay. Oh, it's grabbing every things that are... Okay. So, what I can do is slowly separate back out the layers. Because everything's here. And if I take... So let me go ahead and close this out. No, don't save anything. And I instead come back to this map. So one of the things I can do here with this map is... Let me drop out some of this logo stuff, because I don't need it. And all I'm left with now is... So if I take this, and let me go ahead and duplicate it. Go down to the original bucket and it. I come to this one, and I'm just going to go grab Magic Eraser. And we're going to do that. Okay. So you can now kind of, I don't know if this is very visible, but there is now, turn this off. I've got a basic cut of this, but it's not perfect. If I bring the color back in, you can see where the Magic Eraser didn't get everything. If I go to this layer, do not contiguous. 8 is too high a tolerance. Let's go down to 2. And let's go ahead and shift this as well. So I can clean it up by grabbing some of the... And it's going to kind of feather this, so it's not too destructive of a process. But it's also, you know... I'm going to be losing some line detail here. In a way that I'm not super happy with. But we'll play around with it. Alright, so now... Not thrilled. So yeah, sorry, you might be getting a little bit of artifacting here from the... Yeah, boy. This is a mess. I'm not sure I should bother too much. I don't think I should spend too much time on this, to be honest here, folks. I desperately need to find the original file. I just don't know where it is. Yeah, that was too destructive. This is now worthless. Yeah, the original's still under there, but it's just not enough. Compared to this, right? I am positive there are some ways I can do this a little cleaner, but still, it's gonna be a bit of a bear. Because I can take... this, and let me unlock it. And I can change the blending. I don't want... Yeah, look at that. There we go. Perfect map. Alright, you know what? I'm not going to mess around with this. This is just not working. Well, folks, this is kind of a bust here tonight. Let's see. Did this search come up with anything? No. Nothing that I haven't already. Well, let's take care of some. It's got all near here. And at first I was like, wait a minute. Is the all-near map in here? And the answer is no. I do have a tiny version of the Icescar Valley in here, but that's just for comparative purposes up in the top. That's not very useful. Just not a part of the map file. That's the thing I was trying to do. I was like, wait, did I include this somewhere else? No. Still in progress. And definitely not in here, because that's the world sketch map. I just don't know why it wouldn't be in the map folder. That's the part that's throwing me right now. Yeah, I mean, I can search for every PSD on my machine. And, you know, honestly, that is probably my next step is I'm just gonna let that search bar go do its thing. You go do your thing. I'm gonna leave you alone. So let me come back to this actually, because you know I've been sitting here chatting, and there is actually something fun I can show you. I can reward all of you for hanging out with me as I stare at this stuff in frustration. And the thing I can reward you with is some finished art, because I got some. So let me go grab that. Let me go grab these and move them into a spot where I can eat with them. Yeah. The least I can do. You've hung out with me this long while I'm sitting here futzing around. One of my few futz around streams. I haven't done one of these in a while for good reason. Sketches. Here. And I'm going to grab all 8 of these. All right, so come back up here. Okay, so there we go. All right. So last week we saw the Shadow Serpent fight and stuff. What I've gotten back here in the past week is the finished versions of the headshots and the item shots. So we're gonna start with the item shots. I believe, let me actually look at these by details. Yeah, I'm definitely looking at the newest one. Wait. Those. Okay. Well, that doesn't make. Okay, I can find. Okay. All right. So this one, yes. So let me start off with this guy right here. This isn't really all that changed, but that's the finished pies. Pretty similar to the interim one. I didn't ask for any changes there, so that's not really a surprise. Let's see. 392. This one as well. Oh. Like I said, this one we saw the previous version was close, but there's a lot of extra detail here that I'm really happy with. So that one is pretty much done. That's the sign for the black thumb. Again, happier with how the lettering looks done and how that's all put together. We've got the Gemwood book. This is Beyond the Gemwood. This is the book you're looking for throughout part 2. And I'm very happy with how that turned out. Nice weathered, pretty simple, pretty plain, pretty straightforward. That's perfectly fine. Now, I want to get to these headshots, because these headshots are all fantastic. I am super happy with all of these. Let's go ahead and look at the final for Hadram. Our obsessed museum Wolfrin fanboy. Here he is. That is fantastic. I'm really happy with that. He's looks a bit intense, which is great. Yeah, that turned out really good. Very happy with it. Let me show you Alipar. Alipar, the final for Alipar is fantastic. I am super happy with Alipar. There he is. Alipar is looking great. I am really happy with how that piece came together. The ink stains look good. The overalls look good. Yeah, just what I wanted him to be. Kind of an eccentric print shop owner and excited member of the Dawnbringer. So very happy with how that turned out. Let me also then take you to look at the final for Jaratha. The elf. Senazar elf in her golden years. This is the final of Jaratha. Very happy with that as well. Very happy to see a Senazar in autumn. Also, excited to have an older elf. That's not something you see too often. Most fantasy kind of runs straight towards, oh, they look... How old are you? 900. What age do you look? 28. So I am very excited that to show that elves in this world, they may live a long time, but they do still age. I think that's important. And finally, I am super happy with this last piece. Radalin Trevere. This is a member of the council. Lord Radalin Trevere. He is a rich man behind a bunch of his own plots and machinations. This is the final for Radalin Trevere. Super happy how that came together. That is perfect. That is exactly what I wanted. Definitely looks wealthy. Definitely looks smug. Definitely looks like he's got something going on. Got some plans. Got some ideas going on. Rich, but not overly ostentatious. Showing off, but not too heavily. I like it. It strikes just kind of the right blend of like, that guy's rich and maybe a jerk. but maybe just sly. Hard to say. The eyebrow really does. Yeah. And you'll notice the clothing has the gemwood pattern, leaf pattern on it as well. So that appears multiple times throughout the art of this adventure because that's what a gemwood leaf is. So, yeah, there we go. Very excited about all of that. Super happy to see how all that came out. So there you go. At least I was able to reward you with your patience with me here tonight, with me fumbling around desperately trying to find a missing Photoshop file. Let me see what the search has turned up. Yeah, it's going to need more time. It's found 2 files so far. So that's not it. That drive has hundreds of Photoshop files on it. So far, it's found 2. So it's got a lot of files to choose. All right, folks. That's all I have here for you tonight. Sorry there wasn't a bit more. Paizocon being what it is, the past week has been a bit of a blur. But I'm going to work to find this damn file. That's what I'm going to do. That's going to be my next obsession, is to find the damn file. Because I really don't want to have to redraw it. Because I am seriously afraid that if I can't find it, it probably means starting over. Because the amount of work I would have to do to clean up the PNG to make it usable is almost unthinkable. I might use that then as a base to redraw it, but I still might have to redraw it. Oh well. Alright, folks. That's all I have here for you tonight. I want to thank you all for hanging out with me. Thanks for the chat. I'll keep you informed. Keep an eye out in the Discord. I'll let you know if I find it. I'm going to let the search run for a bit. So keep your eyes peeled there. Folks, tonight I'm going to play some more, probably some more Bolt Gun on Twitch. So if you're hanging out for that, I'll see you over there. But that's all I have here tonight. Folks, thank you for your support. Thank you for your continued patronage. I'm hoping to get more stuff moving on Part 2 now that I have art. Here in the next coming weeks and months. We're gonna make this stuff go, so thank you. It's by and large to your support that all of this is happening, so thank you very much. Have yourself a wonderful rest of your evening, and we will see you next time.